Hi, I'm Becca and welcome to a simple guide to explain what Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere is. In one word, confusing, but I have done my best to narrow things down for you. Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere refers to the shared universe that a lot of his books are set in on different planets. It is important to note that any of his books that reference Earth, like Skyward or the Reckoners series like Steelheart for example, are not Cosmere related. So far, his Cosmere books are Elantris, Warbreaker, The Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, Tress of the Emerald Sea, The Sunlit Man, White Sand, and the Arcanum Unbounded short story collection. Now, the Cosmere links all of these shared worlds with a creation myth, and that is the god Adonalsium, whose power was raw creation magic known as investiture. But Adonalsium was destroyed by 16 beings utilizing a Dawn Shard weapon, and this destruction was called the Shattering of Adonalsium. The Shattering meant that Adonalsium was split into 16 shards, which were essentially pieces of Adonalsium's essence. Each of the 16 beings that set out to destroy Adonalsium in the first place became one of these 16 shards, being the first vessel of these shards. Because they did this, they also became gods in their own right and were imbued with a specific kind of investiture. The Shattering also somehow aligned all of the magic in the Cosmere to align with each of these 16 shards. And it should be noted that vessels for shards can change over time, depending on the power and the intent of a shard, and how someone as a vessel can influence that shard over time. But aside from the 16 beings that shattered Adonalsium, someone else was there at the time. And while he wasn't directly involved in the weapon and the shattering of Adonalsium, he also personally knew each of the first vessels, and he has been somehow imbued with immortality. His name is Hoid. And because Hoid has been around so long, you might often see him crop up in the different Cosmere books, kind of as a cameo and a little aside to be like, yo, the Cosmere exists, and this character is popping up for a little bit and then disappearing, and that is your Cosmere reference. Hoid isn't the only world hopper, and with him and other world hoppers appearing, there are different ways to traverse the Cosmere's realms. The Cosmere does have 3 realms, and they are the physical, the spiritual, and the cognitive. So if a shard is present on a planet, it has investiture, so essentially raw magic, and because of the amount of this magic, it punctures the 3 different realms of the Cosmere on that planet and creates what is called a perpendicularity. Basically, the best way to understand this whole concept is if there is a big magical god, there is going to be a big magical portal. All of this lore and theory is essentially what is behind the curtain of Brandon Sanderson's world building, and it does get overwhelming. It was a lot for me to kind of keep track of, and I've read and reread a lot of Sanderson's works before, so it is very detailed and time consuming. If you do want more information though, there is a Cosmere specific wiki, and I've linked it in the description, but be warned before you click there. I have kept this video intensely spoiler free, but if you go to that wiki, there are spoilers galore for all of his books, and you can't control where any of the spoilers will be. It's not like, oh, I haven't read Warbreaker, so I'll just read this section. There are spoilers crisscrossed everywhere, so read at your own risk. But you don't actually need to know the sprawling lore behind Sanderson's books about the Cosmere to read and enjoy his actual works. It's kind of a layer behind the scenes that if you know it and you see a different pattern emerging, you'll recognize it and appreciate it. But if you don't recognize it, that is also fine too, and you're not necessarily missing out on anything that he's writing about in terms of the stories he's trying to tell in each contained book. That said, the Cosmere makes his books fun, and I like getting a kick out of it whenever I see a different reference hidden and buried here and there. But there you go, that is my very quick, rapid fire, brief guide that is simple for the Cosmere. It is definitely hard to wrap your head around. It took me a while to work through my notes and the Cosmere wiki to narrow this information down for you. But if this has intrigued you, or if you just want to read more Brandon Sanderson, let me know in the comments. I'll have other helpful information in the description as well, including any reviews of other Sanderson's books that I've done. But again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.